Everest, or I was doing Everest. And there was some talk about playing this guy Thanos, and it was basically a cameo, and which I did a little in a couple movies. And and they said we're thinking that the plan is it's going to have a much bigger impact later on, but we don't know what that is yet. And I know that at Marvel, I don't know if they do this so much anymore, but like Lou D'Esposito, who I knew as a first AD when I was doing Hollow Man, you know, and then Feige and all that, I kind of knew these people from before. And they would get together, they would rent a house in Palm Springs and like flip burgers and go like, okay, so you know Thanos, right? He's like the most powerful. And he's like, okay, not the most powerful, but like they have those conversations. And then I think it was after I said yes that started. So I didn't for a second think that it was going to become what it became. And we were doing like tests during Everest, where we were doing different types of things in my face to be able to, we weren't doing dots, we were doing painting, so they weren't there, technically there, but it just kind of like it was a perfect storm where they technically arrived at what they needed to arrive at in order for Thanos to. And then I remember coming in, I won't bore you with this, but I remember coming in and doing it for the first time in front of like 50 computers before we started those two movies. And I had kind of had this like Richard Burton thing in my head, not actually Richard Burton, but it was much more formalized, like Thanos. and the Russos were like, yeah, no. And they were like, just be, so we started to talk about what that was, and they were like, just like sit like this. And then that changed everything. The fact that it wasn't this presentation of this, you know, and then kind of scratching the face or you know, just normalizing the whole thing. And then we would go and watch it. And they'd go, yeah. And then I'd start talking about like Brando and Apocalypse Now. And they go, yeah. Like, do that. And then we'd start improvising. Me and Joe would start improvising back and forth. And that's kind of how it came to be. Like Thanos was like a, yeah, anyway.
I was going to say, one of the reasons I think Endgame is, for me, I remember being in the theater the first time I watched it, didn't know what was going to happen, and in the first act, he gets killed. And I was like, what the is going on? Because you figured that's a third act moment. So what was it like for you reading that script for the first time and seeing how it was very unconventional?
I never read the script.
There you go.
And I was given scenes to memorize, which I diligently studied, that were fake. Like for real. And then I would come to work and they'd go, hey, there's been some changes. And I'd go, motherfuckers, man. Because I put a lot of onus on prepping. You know, I like to be prepped, and I put a lot of work into it. And then literally I would show up on the day and they'd be like, you know, if you need help with your lines, just call out for one. And I'd be like, dude, this is a whole speech. But we pulled it off.
What was your reaction when you heard that the Russos were coming back for Secret Wars? And part two, it's possible in Secret Wars, because it's a different universe, that, you know, you could be re-emerging in some other, you know, a different version of the same character.
I would do, and I'm not kidding, there's a thing with like playing Thanos. It's like, oh, would you play, or they're gonna bring Thanos back and all that. And it's like Sicario, it has to be right. You know, it's like Ryan Reynolds and I talking about Taylor Swift, and we should be talking about Deadpool 4. But you go back and forth, and it's like what in his mind fits, what my mind fits, and all that. Thanos has to fit if you're going to bring him back. I would do anything that the Russos wanted me to do.
I don't know if this is true, and I want to make sure I'm not 100% on this, but the rumor is that Downey was the one who said, if you want me back, you're bringing back the Russos.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. When I heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, that, you know, they know what they're doing. They can make movies on this scale. They were huge successes. So you're not going to hint at all, has anyone called, or do you want to flat out deny? You know what I mean? I get it. I get it. What's the most nervous you've been in your career the night before stepping on set for the first day?
Oh, man. Goodies?
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. All these people had worked. What do you think? Like, you have to remember that if you get to a point where you can't remember the names of your movies, you're like, the one, they died, it was cold. Let me try. I did a movie I shouldn't have been in. I'm really glad that I was in it, but Miramax did not want me. David O. Russell did. He fought for me. It was Mary Tyler Moore, Lily Tomlin, Alan Alda, George Siegel, Ben Stiller, Patricia Arquette, Ted Leone, Richard Jenkins. Thank you. During the disaster. And I showed up, I've ridden vintage Harley Davidson for my whole life, basically. My dad put me on a motorcycle when I was 3.5. And I showed up on my 1987 Softail, and they looked at me like, "Are you kidding? He's not a thespian. He's a ruffian." But I played a gay ATF agent, a bisexual ATF agent with tattoos and a penchant for armpit licking. And I was nervous about that one. To answer your question, Steve?
I can see why that would cause some hesitation. Just so I can work this in, I do have one more video question, and I want to make sure we get to it before we run out of time. So let's see what this person had to say.
I love your videos.
Hi, my question for Josh Brolin is about the feature film Dune. Now, there's this one moment where the esteemed actor Oscar Isaac, playing Duke Leto Atreides, asks to bring in Stilgar. And in the moment, if I remember correctly, he says, "Let him pass. Let him pass." And I know that this particular acting choice, he did it every single time, exactly like that. And you, Josh Brolin, found it remarkable, hilarious, maybe even threatening. And I'm just wondering, what was it about that choice that has made you continue to make fun of that and him for quite a few years now? And part two of that is, do you feel that acting in film, in general, comic book movies included, has gotten better, screen acting, better, worse, or stayed the same? Thanks.
That's a good question.
I decided to go with the last one as being like the A game.
That was good. That was the A game. Oscar Isaac, when we were doing Dune 1, Oscar Isaac did a thing. It was somewhere in the back of his head. I know he didn't plan it. But when he called in Stilgar, he said, "Bring him in like this." And then we cut, and I go, "What was that, dude? Did you have a bit of a stroke there?" Or like, and he was like, "What? That's cool." And I go, there's nothing cool about that. Bring him in. So now, every time I call Oscar, if I FaceTime him, I'll have it out here. And then I have the thing here. And then, "How are you, Oscar? It's Josh." And he goes, "Man, it's been like 2 years, like enough, it's not funny." And I go, "Oh no, it's still funny." I don't care how good he is, he will always be right-sized by me. He's a good actor too, man, sometimes. Directors hire me to fuck with other people. They don't care. I like to have fun, so what?
Do you want to answer the second part where he was asking about acting?
I wasn't even listening because I was thinking. What did he say?
Something about has acting gotten better in.
Oh yeah, I heard that. And acting gotten better in cinema?
I think he said superhero movies or comic book films or I don't know. I wasn't, you know.
I mean, look, no. But look, to be honest about that, and people are starting to kind of copycat it or follow that new kind of road about using great actors or using actors you wouldn't normally use because it would be considered like a B movie or something like that, and they're not anymore. And Marvel was the beginning of that. Like, let's get Ruffalo and let's get, Downey was having them all, but Downey was always considered one of the most talented people out there. He kept fucking it up until he figured his own shit out, and then he just like skyrocketed. But he always skyrocketed. He was always that guy. When you look at Downey in Less Than Zero, you're just like, wow. I mean, he continues to be one of the bravest actors ever. Downey's on Broadway right now. It's like, what? You don't have to do that. Don't you have a lot of money? And
He's probably trying to do things like you, that make him nervous.
No, but that's what it is. And honestly, I've had long talks with him about that. And it's like after Marvel, it's like, what now? Like, what is there to do? And it's like, let's mix it up. Let's just keep mixing it up. I think Downey and I have a very similar thing. Where we have this goal to be in our deathbed, and just the last breath is filled with this. All I want to do is be able to have that look back in hindsight and chuckle. It's like, we fucked with life enough, and we had a super good time doing it. Given a lot of these really wonderful opportunities that we're not, we don't take advantage of. And Downey is one of the most grateful people I know, and I'm one of the most grateful people I know. I don't not see the opportunity, the diamond in the opportunity, and if we're not taking full advantage of it, then we're just done. But Ruffalo, Lizzie Olsen, all these people coming in, and you're killing it. You're just upping the ante. So yeah, I do think it's gotten better. I think all other acting has gotten worse, but I think.
I actually think that's one of the reasons why video game adaptations right now they're still, like, you look at Fallout, and it's because of the actors that they have, and just there's a lot of video game, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but they're developing a lot of video game stuff in Hollywood right now. It's the next big thing. And there's just a lot of it, and they're attracting big name talent. And if I knew anything about things that were unannounced, I would say there's some big shit that's about to be announced that has some big people.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's fun. I know Walt Goggins is here right now, and yeah, that's how I feel too. What? No, we know each other. We respect each other. Where did we meet? It's none of your business, man. No, you know where we met is I wrote a thing, and he did a reading for me, and I had never met him. And I remembered his teeth in the beginning. He has a big smile, huge smile. I was like, God, that guy has a big smile. And then he had some amazing notes during this reading, and that's when I met him the first time. I have massive respect for that guy. He's so good. And talk about mixing it up. He's constantly doing things. And then we had Art Out of Range that was canceled.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Boo. Fucking boo, man.